I've been asking you to think of adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers in terms of a bank account. So, addition means putting something in the account, either positive debt or positive money or negative debt. Or subtraction means withdrawing, taking something out of the account, and you can either take out positive money, which makes your account go down, or you can take out negative debt, which makes your account go up. All right, some of you have taken that and run with it and you get it. Others are struggling, which is understandable because there's a lot going on there with all the pluses and minuses and the debt and the withdrawing and the depositing. So there's another way to do it. A lot of teachers really swear by the number line. They think the number line is the best way to teach adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers. And I agree in a sense when it comes to problems about sea level and temperature. So if you have a nice pretty ocean right there and you have a little baby birdie swimming right here in the ocean. Yes, that is a bird. That would be at 0. That's at sea level, 0. Let's say the bird sees a little fishy down here that it thinks looks really yummy, and it dives down to get that fish. Then it's going below sea level. It's in negative territory. So it might be 10 feet below sea level, that fish. That would be negative 10. Or let's say there's a big fish down there. It might even be a shark. And this shark wants to eat the bird, and the bird sees it. So the bird says, I'm out of here. And it takes off flying up into the air. Now it's above sea level. And say it flies all the way up to 50 feet. You're plus 50. So what's the difference between the bird flying up here at 50 feet and this fish down here at negative 10 feet? All right, that's a good question because you will come across questions like that. In that case, the answer was 60, but I'm going to explain how to do these types of problems with another example of temperature. So let's say you start off the day in Alaska in the wintertime and it is negative 15 degrees when you wake up in the morning. And then by the time it's dinner time in the afternoon, it's all the way up to 30 degrees. So it has gone from negative 15 in the morning all the way up to 30 in the afternoon. Well, to do this with a number line, traditionally number lines are drawn from left to right, with the negative numbers being on the left and the positive numbers being on the right, and 0 being in the middle. You guys have seen this before. That's actually 4 dash marks. Okay. All right, then the negatives go this way, so on and so forth. Well, that's all perfectly well and good, but I prefer to draw my number lines up and down because like the last example I was showing you with the magic bird, sea level is more of an up and down thing as opposed to left and right. Same with temperature, same with thermometers. If you ever seen a thermometer with the red line going up, up, and up, they're usually up and down, not left to right. So I'm going to draw my number line going up and down with 0 in the middle and the negative numbers on the bottom and the positive numbers on the top. I just think it's a little easier to visualize that way. So the starting point was at negative 15. So we're down here at negative 15. And we go all the way up to positive 30 by the end of the day. And the question will be something like, what was the change in temperature from the morning to the afternoon? What was the overall change? Well, what you really have to do is add 30 and 15 together, but a positive 15. The answer is 45. So how are you supposed to get 45 out of a positive 30 and a negative 15? If you're just looking at the numbers alone, this problem can be a little bit confusing. But if you think of a number line, it gets much, much easier. All you do is split this problem in half at 0. So this temperature is rising. You're starting here, you're starting at negative 15, and you're finishing all the way up here at positive 30. So how far up did you go from the start to the finish? That's the answer to this problem, if they want to know what was the change in temperature. So you split it in half at 0. And you say, how far did the temperature change to get from negative 15 to 0? Well, it changed 15 degrees. It went up 15. No matter what negative number you start at to get back to 0, that's how many degrees it changed. So, for example, if you were to start at negative 6, how far to get to 0? 6 spaces. You went up 6 degrees. Right? So whatever you start at, that's how far it takes you to get back to 0. So it took you 15 to get to 0, and then from 0 to 30, how much of an increase is that? 30. From 0 to any number, that's the increase. So if you would have increased to 50, from 0 to 50, you increased 50. So you increased 15 and you increased another 30. Now you can add those two amounts together and you don't have to worry about positives and negatives anymore. So that's a good trick. When they're giving you the start and the finish, and you have to find out what the amount of increase or decrease was, split the problem in half at 0, and then just add those two parts together, and it'll be so simple you'll love it. All right, another way they could give you a problem, and I'll just use the same numbers so that now that you guys are familiar with those. Instead of giving you the start and the finish, they might give you one of those and tell you that the change was 45 and ask you what the other one was. So for example, they might give you the finish. They might say, the hottest we got today was 30 degrees above 0. But that was an increase of 45 degrees from the lowest temp. So the lowest temp was 45 degrees less than 30. All right, if this 30 was an increase of 45 degrees from the lowest temperature, what was that lowest temperature? Well, you have to ask yourself, was that lowest temperature going to be up 45 or was it going to be down 45? All right, and that's where reading comprehension comes in. All these problems on the quizzes and the tests are paragraphs. So you're going to have to read what they're asking and then ask yourself, is my answer 75 or is it negative 15? Am I supposed to be 45 below or 45 above where I finished? Well, think about it. They want to know, where did you start? Where did you start? And wherever you started, you increased 45 degrees from that starting point to end up here. So if you had to increase to get there, you must have been farther down. All right, if it would have said you decreased to get here, then you must have been higher up. Because if you decrease, you go down. If you increase, you go up. So wherever you started from, you increased 45 degrees and ended up here. So you must have started below here to increase to get there. So you know that your answer is going to be down 45 from 30. So this becomes a 30 minus 45 type equation. What is 30 minus 45? It's negative 15. But if you want to keep using the number line to solve this, you could say, all right, I know that my answer is 45 below this number, 45 below 30. So I'm just going to start with going 30 to get to 0. So I took off 30. And how much more do I have to take off? 15 more, because 30 and 15 is 45. So if I went another 15 below 0, that means I started at negative 15. So your answer is negative 15. All right, I think you guys are getting pretty good at the math here. The work you've been showing me has been nice. I'm impressed. Now you got to worry about the vocabulary a little bit. You got to worry about problems being story problems and figuring out, are they asking me if I'm supposed to be above this number, if I'm supposed to be below that number? Are they asking for the amount increased? Are they asking for the finish amount? Or are they asking for the starting amount? So I'm going to give you guys story problems today so that you can get some practice with your vocabulary and your comprehension and then putting that to use with math.